Hey friends of Keycloak, nice to see you again. I'm Niko and I'm talking about Keycloak. Today in this video I want to introduce you to the new organizations feature. Organizations makes it possible to have a multi-tenancy approach in only one realm. So grab yourself a coffee, make yourself comfortable, and subscribe to my channel if you don't have already done so. Give me some thumbs up and let's start. With version 25, Keycloak introduced a new feature called Organizations, which became supported with Keycloak version 26. Organizations can be managed from the UI, from the admin UI, and organizations can be something like customers, like tenants in general, or whatever. So it's possible to have multi-tenancy in one realm. You don't have to use multiple realms to organize and manage your different tenants and organizations. You can assign users to organizations, you can assign identity providers to organizations, you can assign attributes to organizations, and many more. So let's dig into Keycloak and see what happens and how all this works. So I have already prepared my Keycloak environment as always. And you can see I'm using version 26 and it's the organization feature. It's the supported one. I'm a bit in the way. It's the organization feature. It's now supported. Yeah, okay. And I've already prepared an organization realm where we can see what to do, and you can already see the organizations menu entry here in the left upper. And to have this organizations entry, you simply go to the realm settings, and in the realm settings you have to enable the organization switch. Once this is enabled, you get the organizations menu entry and you can start working with organizations. So let's create our first organization. For example, let's call it my org. That's the display name, what is shown to the users. And we have also an alias. It's a technical identifier for this organization. Just keep it lowercase, that we can distinguish between the name and alias if needed. And every organization needs a domain. So we can say our domain for my org is keycloak.de, and that's all you need for creating an organization. Just simply hit save and your organization is created. After this, you can assign attributes to the organization. Perhaps you have a customer ID, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, for example, or some other attributes. Let's save them. And of course, you don't have any members yet because we just started with a new clean, fresh realm. There are no users in here. So we don't have users. We can't assign users to the organizations. And we can assign identity providers to our organizations. An identity provider I already prepared. I configured an identity provider, an external Keycloak server as an identity provider in my local Keycloak environment. And this I will be using for the identity provider for Keycloak, for the organization, sorry. So go to the my org, identity providers, link identity provider. Then I can select the proper identity provider. That's the alias of my configured IdP, it's Lemur. And I can assign a domain for this identity provider. It's keycloak.de. I want to hide it on the login page because I don't want to show which identity providers are possible to use. And that's pretty neat, this last switch. Redirect when email domain matches. So every time a user logs in with this email domain keycloak.de, the user will be forwarded automatically to the external identity provider. Can switch it on, save, and then we have assigned our identity provider to our organization. So that's all for now. Let's test it, how it works, if it works. Let's go to the account console. Let's start the account console. We are being automatically redirected to login because the account console just needs an authenticated user. And yeah, I'm using my custom theme here. It's not the typical Keycloak theme. And you can see, because we are having organizations already configured, the authentication flow behaves differently. We're getting now only a username or email field. So we don't have to, we can't enter a username and a password on the first page. We can just enter a username or email address. So let's enter an email address with the Keycloak.de domain that we'll see if we're being forwarded, redirected to the external Keycloak server from the external identity provider we just assigned to our organization. So in the external identity provider, there is a user named Jane Doe at Keycloak.de. Of course, we have to provide the full email address. Then we just hit sign in, and we're now forwarded to the external identity provider. This is the layout from the external Keycloak server, and the username is being propagated to the external IdP. We just have to enter our password, and if I don't mistype during speaking, I'm authenticated in the external identity provider, redirected back to Keycloak, redirected back to the application, to the account application. And we see we are now back to localhost 8080, authenticated as Jane Doe at Keycloak.de. And back to the admin UI, we can see we have a user, Jane Doe, like before, when users authenticate through an external IdP. And we can see in Jane, it's a regular user, of course, no credential, because we are authenticated through the external IdP, but there's the organizations tab, and on the organizations tab, we have the assignment to the myOrg organization with the domain Keycloak.de. And of course, identity provider links, we have a linked identity provider, the Lemur IdP. If we go to our organization and have a look into our organization, we can see that our myOrg organization now has a member, Jane Doe, from the external IdP. Well, that's quite good. And yeah, let's see what is in the token for Jane Doe, or what we can put into the token based on our organization. For this, I'm using the evaluate functionality of Keycloak of one client. We're just using the account console client scopes, evaluate, and we can see a preview of Jane Doe of the access token, the generated access token, for example. And in the default settings, we don't see anything because, yeah, we didn't activate anything. And there's an additional new scope called organization. And this scope organization is an optional scope. It's default optional, so you or your application can request the organization scope, or you have to set it to default so that it will be executed by default without explicitly requesting it. We can just selecting the organization scope, and then our access token content has been updated, and we can see we have an organization claim in our token with the myOrg organization, and this is the alias myOrg from the organization. As you can see, there's an empty object, and we can add information to our organization. By default, it's empty. We set already an attribute on our organization, the customer ID, and we can enable that the attributes of the organization and the organization ID itself are mapped into our tokens. For this, we have to switch to the client scope. We just use the organization client scope, two client scopes, which is managed here, organization. The organization client scope has a mapper, a predefined mapper, the organization membership. And at the bottom, there are two switches, add organization attributes and add organization ID. So if we turn these both switches to on and save this mapper, and we go back to our account console, evaluate, chain do, generated access token, for example. We need the organization scope again. And then you can see we have the organization claim with the my.org organization. Now we have the attributes, customer ID, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's an array because every attribute in Keycloak is a list of values. So that's the natural behavior, getting the value as an ID array. Sorry, and we have the ID of this organization, the internal UID in Keycloak, the primary key in the database. So that's the basic idea behind the organizations. You can assign your users to your organizations. You can use distinct identity providers for each organization, for each customer, for each tenant. And you can also add regular users to an organization. So perhaps let's create a manual user, and let's call it myself. It's Niko, and create this user. We can set some credentials to this user so that the user can log in at Keycloak. And we can now assign this user to an organization manually. You can say organizations, join organization to the my.org, and the user is assigned to the my.org organization. As you might have seen, there's also a send invite functionality. You can also send the user an invite email that an already existing user just have to hit a link in the email, and then the user will be assigned to the organization automatically. In the end of the day, it's the same as adding the user manually from the admin perspective. And yeah, our user is now bound to my.org. And if we log in with our user, this user doesn't have the Keycloak DE domain. So it's Niko, no, it's info at n-k.de, different email domain, sign in. Then we are going being presented with the password form because we have to enter our password for the user, and we're signed in with the regular user. And we can see in the organizations menu entry of the account console, we belong to the organization my.org. It's also possible to assign multiple organizations to a user. So there's no 1-to-n relationship. It's not a 1-to-1 or 0-to-1. It's a 0-to-n relationship. And yeah, a user can be added to multiple organizations. So now we have two different users in our organization. We have two users, the Jane Doe and the Niko. And one user is a managed organization user, and the other user is a non-managed organization user. So Jane is a managed user, and Niko is an unmanaged user. When we now disable the organization and go to the users, we can see Jane is also disabled because Jane is a managed user from the organization, because this user was added through the external identity provider, which was assigned to the organization. And now the organization is disabled and every user is also being disabled. Niko is a regular Realm user. It's just assigned to the my.org organization, and thus it's not disabled when the organization is being disabled. If we enable the organization again, we can see the user Jane is also enabled. Same behavior if we delete an organization. So just delete our organization, deleting my.org, it's gone. And in the users, also Jane is gone because Jane was a managed user, and the unmanaged user, Niko, the regular Realm user, stays in Keycloak and is not being deleted. And now there is no more organization tab in the top because no organization is configured. If we recreate the organization again, my.org, Keycloak.de, and we're back here. Of course, now we have no assignment, but now we can, for example, invite a member. So we can invite, let's invite Theo at test.com. It's Theo tester, and Keycloak now sends an invite email to Theo, and Theo can now access the emails. And I have here an invitation to join the my.org organization. And I can just hit the link to join the organization. Then I can register like the regular registration process. It's a tester, can assign a password. Theo at test.com is pre-filled. Unfortunately, first name, last name isn't. Theo tester. And we can hit register. And now Theo is automatically assigned to the my.org organization, which you can see here, organizations my.org. And also in Keycloak, if we do a refresh of the my.org organization, we can see Theo is a member of the my.org organization. And Theo is also a managed user because Theo registered directly for the my.org organization. If we now disable the user, the organization, also the tester user is disabled. And if we delete the my.org organization, also the tester, the Theo tester, is gone. So this was a quick and short wrap up of the new organization feature in Keycloak, starting with Keycloak 26. It's supported, and yeah, just start playing around with it, test it, and make your own experiences. There's no more need to use third-party extensions for having the user being redirected to certain external identity providers. It's now possible within from Keycloak directly, also using organizations. There was also a third-party extension for using organization features in Keycloak. And for the most purposes, it's now not more needed to use some third-party extensions because everything is able to do in Keycloak directly. I hope you liked the video. Give me some thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any other videos. And yeah, hope to see you soon in one of my next videos. Keep coding, keep authenticating, keep secure. Go ahead. Bye-bye.